Good morning, and I am very sorry for the delayed upload this week. As I noted in the slides before I got this up, it was my niece's birthday party, and between that and my own kiddos, this completely got lost and didn't happen yesterday, so I apologize for that. On that note, every due date this week is delayed a day due to Thanksgiving, so it should kind of work itself out. So you're warm welcome. What's a pet peeve of yours that we may or may not know about you? It could be a pet peeve from your teacher world or your personal life. Anything is okay. Please add it into the instructor's opening remarks thread. Have some fun with it. You can be brutally honest. I've always disliked the whole term pet peeve. However, that being said, now that I am getting older, I guess, I have one thing that always gets under my skin, and that is smacking of lips and otherwise like just loud mouth sounds. I don't know why, but they make my skin crawl. Not sure why, but it's just a thing that gets to me. So I would say that is my pet peeve, especially when somebody is talking on a microphone and you can hear it constantly. So I apologize if I'm doing that to you guys. This week's learning outcomes. We're going to grow as a community of learners while implementing CASEL's 3 signature practices. The warm welcome, some engaging activities, and an optimistic close. We'll understand the concept of educational access through an ethical lens, and we will apply ethical frameworks to professional experience. One quick note before we get too far. A couple of you have emailed about this. Shoot me an email with your updated email signature. When they say a personal image, they just mean, oh, of course I don't have mine up. Rather than just having the letter of your first name show up, CSP prefers that you have a picture of yourself. If this makes you uncomfortable, I am not going to dock points or anything for that. That's fine by me. It is nice to be able to see you guys and put faces to names, but I also understand that privacy is important. This week, we will talk about the ethics of access. Your choice readings this week should encourage you to consider what it means to access education. Here are some questions to guide your research reading sources. To begin our thinking, our first lens is a basic one. Who do we believe should receive an education? If we go a little bit bigger, what does your state believe? What does our federal government believe? What does humanity at large believe? And what have previous societies believed? And then come back to, what do you believe? So kind of starting on that, who do we believe could be who do we as this program in CSP believe. If you have thoughts on that, or you could even just say what your cohort believes. That's just for you to get started on thinking of what you're going to look at in research, kind of starting in small and getting bigger as you go. Our next lens goes a little deeper. Since you may have figured out who should receive an education, I mean, I don't know that anybody has figured that out, but you never know. Maybe somebody will come along a golden answer, or you have come to an answer that you're happy with. We now have to consider what that education should entail. Other readings for this week should shed light on this. Consider whether all students should have or do have access to the following: dual enrollment opportunities, structured English immersion programs, a culture of post-secondary preparation, early education, supports in languages other than English, technology to support learning. I would even add appropriate accommodations, or a safe space to learn, food, homes that support learning. There is an endless list of things that we should consider whether all students should or do have access to them and what we can do about that. When we consider the variety of schools and programs that do exist, we also have to think about what this means for each of our learners. So are there different opportunities in rural schools and urban schools? What about for students whose families want or do not want college for their children? How do socioeconomic realities impact families' interaction with education? For example, what if both parents work multiple jobs? How does that impact how they interact with their kids' classroom or their kids doing homework? How language or immigration status impacts families' access to education? And as I said before, there's a lot more questions than this. There's an endless plethora of questions that we could ask. So to tie it all together, who do we believe should receive an education? What are the essential components of a baseline education? What happens when some programs fail to provide even that baseline? And what happens when some programs go beyond that baseline? What should education look like? You don't need to answer this question anywhere. This is for your own pondering and for guiding your research. But it really is kind of core to what we're doing and what it means to be an educator. So for discussion board 1, I want you to Google ethical frameworks in education. Click on images. Research, view, peruse some of these. There are thousands of frameworks to view, so try not to pick one of the first 10 because I would love for you not to all have the same ones. Look for commonalities as well as differences. Think of your school and classroom culture. From an educator's perspective, choose one that resonates with you and would work for you in your school classroom/organization. Explain why you chose it. Include a past professional situation where this could have been valuable in dialogue or decision making. So this may be the framework that you would work off of, or maybe even something that you would post in your classroom and talk through with your students. Make sure you cite where you got your image as well as any research that you do. And dialogue with 2 cohort colleagues. If you can, try to have your initial posts up by Friday. I will not grade the, I will not count anything late that is in by Monday evening. All right, this week's weekly learning activity, you are responding, double check here, that's the right one. Sorry, I just like to double check that these are correct because sometimes they get changed on me. You will be responding to ethical communications as an educator using technology. Includes, but is not limited to, email, social media, texting, blogging, video recordings. You could even count phone calls in there. Write a reflection responding to the following questions. What type of communications do you currently use with students, families, and/or professional peers through technology? What are some of the ethical issues that you see arise in social media or other types of technology-based communication? What are some professional issues that you see occur with digital communication? And what are some ways that educators can keep digital communications ethical, professional, and respectful? How can we promote this in our current practices and within our own professional networks? I encourage you to use research so that you can include citations and make sure that you dialogue with 2 cohort colleagues. Just a point of reminder on discussion boards, the expectation for your initial post is that they are at least 200 words. Weekly learning activities should and often will take longer than that. I'm not going to deduct points for that, but just something to keep in mind as other professors may. As long as you answer the question, I'm happy. You may find that I tend to be more easygoing than others. I don't know. I don't know every other professor you will have. All right. Week 5. This is gonna be one of the big ones for the semester, and I have noted the reason why. This is your normative leadership theories impact paper. There are no readings noted in Blackboard. You will need to do all of your own research for this. You're going to determine which of the normative leadership theories most align with your educational philosophies and ethical views. They list 4 here. I would prefer if you work off of those 4. There are some research that will list 5 or 6 or give them different names. Preferably stick to those names to make them recognizable to me. Take a deep dive into the readings. And by this, I mean your research. There used to be a chapter with this. It is no longer accessible. Keep track of where you find your information, as you need at least 3 references cited. I would highly encourage more. Write a 4 to 5 page paper that doesn't count cover page or references, including a description and definition of the leadership theory or theories you chose, an explanation with examples of how this style aligns with your educational philosophy and values as an ethical leader. I encourage you to look back at the educational philosophy you wrote so that you can connect them. And then how the research and class readings, so your research, influence and define your professional practice. So for instance, how does being an authentic leader and the research on that influence or define your professional practice? Use third-person APA writing. So make sure you don't reference I or in my classroom. Minimum of 3 references should be cited in the paper, and the rest is all the usual disclaimers. Big note there that there actually is a minimum number of references. That is not the usual. And I also believe that we have posted a sample paper, but please note that this is not a sample paper that I have looked at and said, this is the best paper ever. This is a paper that every class is using. So there is a sample. You can see it's one of Professor Starkman's former students. And there are some things highlighted in there that weren't the best, or that she was highlighting for counting citations. I'm not sure why the things are highlighted, but there's a sample for you to look at if you would like to. If you have further questions, as always, email me. A couple of you have actually availed yourself of a phone call, which is great because sometimes that is far better at getting the communication across than emails going back and forth. Just checking the dates again here. So that normative leadership theory impact paper is due Saturday, December 2nd. Your final project, the Code of Ethics, Purpose, and Impact, will be due Wednesday the 20th at midnight. And as I believe I noted in my last video, you have a choice there. You can do a paper or a video. You don't have to do both anymore. The paper is very clearly defined in the syllabus. For a presentation on that, you should cover all of the same things. There's not necessarily a rubric that super closely aligns to doing the video thing as there used to be. That being said, I will be using the rubric for the paper for your presentations if you choose to do that. So you can still use the syllabus rubric for a generic outline of what it should look like. Optimistic close. Thoughts for yourself. What is one thing about the winter that you are looking forward to, either personal or professional? On my notes, I love taking my kids sledding. I can't personally go sledding because I tend to be a little bit on the breakable side, but I get to watch my kids go sledding, which is great. And keep that in mind as you begin to rush around and things get busy, because we all know that from here to the end of the year, things get crazy. Make sure other things don't get in the way of what you're looking forward to. Make time for it, even if that means putting it on the calendar. I might have to put on the calendar for a couple weekends. Take the kids sledding. And have a wonderful winter break if you get one. I don't, but if you get a winter break, have fun. I have greatly enjoyed reading everything so far. I am hoping to start getting through the week 3 assignments, hopefully Tuesday and Wednesday. I have family functions Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but hopefully I will get them done before Thursday. Otherwise, maybe early Thursday while I'm watching football, I'll be grading some of your presentations. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving, and otherwise, have a great week.